Here we go. Welcome everybody, council, staff, and members of the public who may be watching at home tonight to this regular council meeting, Tuesday, October 26, 2021, starting at 6 p.m. And this meeting is being transmitted electronically via the council chambers located at 39 South Shore Road in the town of Lake Cowichan. And you'll see that some members of council are sitting here in the council chambers. That is only because we have to update our council procedures bylaw to allow us to meet virtually from now on until December 31st, in which we'll look at the situation again and discuss whether we not want to come back and meet in person after that. So with that, before I call this meeting to order, I'd just like to acknowledge this meeting is being held on the unceded territories of the Subasit. Translated, that means people of the lake, where we all live, work, and play together happily. So with that, I'll call the meeting to order and ask for any introduction of late items. Anybody? See no hands. I'm looking for approval of this agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Austin, seconded by Councillor Sandhu. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you. Next, we have the adoption of some minutes here. We have the minutes of the public hearing held on September 28th, 2021. If there's no issues, I'm looking for a mover. Moved by Councillor McGonigal, seconded by... Did I see a hand? Councillor Austin, thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? And I'll call the question. All those in favor? And opposed? None. Motion carried. Next, we have the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on September 28, 2021. Moved by Councillor Sandhu, second by Councillor Bomaka. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All those in favor? And opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Next, we can move along to the minutes of the special meeting of council held on October 12th, 2021. Moved by Councillor Austin again, thank you. Seconded by Councillor McGonigal, thank you very much. Any more discussion on those minutes? Now I'll call the question. All those in favor? And opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. That'll move us down to correspondence because we have no business arising and no delegations. So correspondence for information and consent items. The first item is Ken Trainer, President of the Cowichan Lake and River Stewardship Society, regarding riparian impacts of the Municipal Hall renovations. Mr. Fernandez, I believe you had a comment to make on that.
Yeah, I can indeed. I think for the benefit of the public, they need to know that council has been at this for over 8 years. They were actually looking at a building that was much larger than what's currently envisaged. It would have actually required excavation going to almost the Mildred Child Annex. We have since downgraded the building. We've reduced the size of the building. It's just going to fit on the current footprint, less the last bay. We have got permission through the Ministry of Environment. We got a Section 11, which allowed us to work on the riparian area adjacent to the town hall, and everything's gone by fairly smoothly. And in terms of looking at other options, we have past councils and current council have determined that this was the best location in terms of making sure that the view to the river is open, that it's not blocked off. And, it was the general consensus that this is how it should be. And we did look at putting it on the parking lot at one time. It just wouldn't have looked good. And in terms of whether we made adjustments to the repair and restoration, when we originally envisaged the building was, we were not only looking at a removal of the last bay, we were also looking at removal of the Mildred Child Annex, which satisfied the powers that be, and we are still going to remove the Mildred Child Annex. So that will allow us a little bit of parking, and I don't think we can do any more. It's nice to see the public showing an interest at this stage of the game after we've expended a fair bit of money on this project.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Anybody in council have any questions or comments? Councilor McGonigal, thank you.
Thank you very much. And this has been an ongoing project for most of the time I've sat at this table. Just for the public's knowledge, we did have a QEP on this project on the river impact. Originally, it was thought that all three of the large trees adjacent to the river would have to come down. Fortunately, that was not the case. Only one tree had to be removed. The parking regulations also are regulated to the town parking. We have to allot for parking. The parking lot adjacent to the town east side is actually a road and not a parking lot. So the parking has to be accommodated in the Mildred Child portion of the building. I'm sure that moving forward, once the project is done, there could be some riparian remediation that would be implemented in the landscape architecture plan. And I'm sure we'll be looking at that with staff moving forward on the completion of this project. So just to be clear that we did go through the proper channels with a Section 11. Other members of the community have also done that for work along the riverbank. Section 11 are very onerous and they are very well oversighted to make sure that nothing is impacted in the riparian zones. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fernandez, and thank you, Councilor McGonigal, for clarifying some points and questions the public might have on that topic. The short story is we've followed all the regulations, and it's going to be a beautiful project when it's all done, and there'll be utmost respect towards the riparian areas when the project comes to completion. So if there's nobody else, we can move along to the next. Oh, Councilor Bomaka, sorry.
Thank you. So will we be sending a letter back to the Cowichan Lake and River Stewardship, letting them know that we have abided by all Section 11 QEPs, I think you called them, just to let them know that we did our due process?
Thank you, Councilor Bomaka. And I think the communication has already happened. And if there's any follow-up, I'm sure Mr. Fernandez will follow through. All right. So if we're all good there, can we move along to the next two letters, which are both results of our UBCM ministerial meetings over the telephone with Minister Popham and Minister Whiteside. So we have two letters there. The first one is from Lana Popham, Minister of Agriculture, Food and Fisheries, regarding AB Greenwell removal from the ALR. Members of council have any comments on that letter? Pretty self-explanatory. And the next letter is Jennifer Whiteside, the Minister of Education, regarding derelict school facilities. So if we have no comments, could we have a motion to receive and file then? Recommendation by Councillor Austin. Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you very much. Next, we can move along to reports. The council and committee reports. The first one is Finance and Administration meeting from October 12th, 2021. Councilor McGonigal. I'm not going to say it.
Screens. Let's try that again. I'd like to move the minutes of the Finance Administration meeting held October 12th, 2021, with the following recommendation. that the committee recommend approval of the Lake Cowichan Fire Department incident report in the amount of $12,513.75 for August 2021. Also, the council recommend approval of the purchase of a pickup to replace the Lake Cowichan Fire Department number 4 command truck using revenues earned from combating wildfires in the interior. And with that, I would move those minutes.
Thank you very much, Councilor McGonigal. Do I have a seconder? Second by Councilor Womacka. Any questions or discussion on those minutes? And I'll call the question. All those in favor and opposed? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. Next, we can go to the Public Works and Environmental Services Committee meeting held on October 19, 2021. Councilor Womacka.
Thank you. Oh, everything went. So I'd like to move the minutes of the Public Works and Environmental Services Committee meeting, which was held on Tuesday, October the 12th, as presented, please.
Thank you very much. Seconded by. Oh, Councillor Austin had her hand up first. And any further discussion on those minutes? Then I'll call the question. All those in favor? And opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next, we can go to the Parks, Recreation and Culture Committee meeting held October 19th, 2021. Councillor Austin.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to move the minutes as presented.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councilor McGonigal. Thank you. Any discussion or comments on those minutes? Councillor Sandhu.
Just a question, just regarding Stone Park. I had actually asked, and I don't know if this is part of minutes or not, that staff bring back something that for next month, just regarding the status of a tentative date for the building of the hockey box at Stone Park. And I see that wasn't in any of the minutes, so I just want clarification.
So that would be an omission from those minutes,
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez. I do remember that conversation.
Can have the minutes reflect that.
Thank you. So the minutes have been moved and then amended with an omission. So I'll call the question on those minutes as amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. Next, we can go to the Strategic Planning Committee meeting held October 12th, 2021. And I'm going to ask Councillor Austin to move those minutes, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to move the minutes of the Strategic Planning meeting of October 12th as presented.
Thank you very much. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Womacka, thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? Councillor McGonigal, please.
Just looking today on the announcement from the provincial government on their intention of banning certain single-use plastics. So I think in that discussion under business arising that we await the legislation that may be coming down before we look at anything else moving forward.
Yeah. Thank you very much for bringing that forward, Councillor McGonigal. Can I call the question, please? All those in favor and opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, I can go to the Cowichan Lake Recreation Commission meeting. There was no meeting yet. The meeting is this Thursday evening, so I'll have a report for next month, finally. And the next one on the list is Vancouver Island Regional Library, Councillor Womacka.
Thank you. The library board is having, or sorry, the rural library is having a pilot project that you might have heard on the local radio stations being advertised. And it's a pilot project to create a welcome to your library packages to be given to newcomers, to different clubs and realtors and immigration centers, so that new immigrants can get a library card, and that will help to connect them with all the resources they need, books, magazines, digital media, crafts and group activities. And then it also allows the library to point them in the right direction for language classes and services in their area. And another one that was a little interesting, there's an author reading by Liz Levine, and it's on Tuesday, November the 2nd from 7 to 8. It's the Courtney branch, but you can register online. And so about the book is, I think I told you the author, sorry, Liz Levine. And it says, nobody ever talks about anything but the end. Liz Levine weaves the story of her sister Tamara's suicide with another significant death, that of her childhood love, Judson, to cancer. With honesty, Liz exposes truths about grief and mourning that we often shy away from and rarely share with others. She reveals how in the midst of death, life must also be celebrated. So she is an award-winning author, and if anybody thinks that they might like to register, that might be very interesting. And with that, that is my report.
Thank you for that report, Councillor Bomaka. So now we can go to the Advisory Planning Commission report. Councillor Austin.
Thank you. I actually was unavailable for the meeting, but I have the minutes here. They welcomed a new member, Beverly Litzer. And the contract planner presented a discussion memo on the roles and responsibilities and guidelines and different things like that the APC would be handling. He also reviewed proposed amendments that would include the update of subdivision works and services bylaw. And they reviewed developments that have occurred. This Thursday, at 4 is our next meeting, and we'll be reviewing the current subdivision works and services bylaw 974-2016.
Thank you, Councillor Austin, for that report. Sounds like that's a busy group. So next we can go to the Community Forest Co-op, Councillor McGonigal.
Thank you very much, Mayor Day. Awaiting the AGM, which is upcoming in November. That will be an opportunity for members of the public to come and have a look at what has been occurring within the Community Forest Co-op and our partnership with Apache Kalayat in the last year. At that time, there will be also elections for board members, executive members, I should say. There hasn't been a meeting prior to the AGM coming up. In an earlier meeting, it was decided by the board unanimously to support the Lake Cowichan Kraken financially, excuse me, over a 3-year term at the timber rate, which is approximately $8,000 per year. We're one of the organizations that have put funding behind the Kraken in order to hopefully have them be a very successful organization. At that opportunity, there is advertising on the boards within the arena, within the programs, and on the websites for those organizations that have contributed different amounts. So with that, that will be my report.
Thank you very much, Councillor McGonigal. So could you tell me the date, the time, and the place of that AGM, please?
I do not have the actual date, but I will send that to everyone by email once that has been finalized.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Okay, before we move on to other reports, we do have a staff report coming up from the contract planner, and just because the delay and the proponent may be watching tonight, and it's customary that we allow them to comment on these development permit variances and stuff. So with that, I'd like to announce to the proponent of the development permit variance permit for 8 and 12 Prospect Avenue lots 1 and 2, District Lot 12, Cowichan Lake District Plan EPP 06330. If the proponent is on the line or watching tonight, they could phone in at any time now and hold until we get to that item. But before we do that, I'll go to other reports, and we'll have the first one is Cowichan Valley Regional District Board Meeting. Councilor McGonigal.
Get to that.
And while we're doing that, I just remind that that telephone number that the proponent could call into is 250-749-6681. Sorry, Councilor McGonigal.
All good. I gotta let it load. Trying to do it all on one device. So if you bear with me. I did report on the last regional services, but on the board meeting of October 13th, I will have a look at those and bring forward those recommendations. So it was October 13th, 5:01 by Zoom or WebEx, I should say. This Wednesday, tomorrow, there will be a hybrid meeting with 6 or 7 attending in person, and the remainder will be attending virtually. Under their procedure bylaw, the board meeting has to be open to the public. It will be interesting to see if anyone does choose to attend tomorrow, but it will be limited as to how many can attend. So with the board meeting, there was a number of grant needs through different electoral areas that were approved. There was also a budget amendment for function 351, which is the Massachi Lake fire protection function, to increase donation by 14,000, decrease consultants by 4,500, and increase vehicle expense by 18,500. Further, there were a number of land usage items, covenants, development variances, which are the purview of the electoral area directors. So we as municipal directors do not become involved in that unless it's a financial entity. Also, that the policy be updated for the attendance of the annual Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and that was to limit it to 3 electoral area directors to attend. Also some budget amendments in function 109. That's the 911 function. Capital reserve transfer of $150,000 and increase the capital furniture, fixtures, and equipment by $150,000. This was to update the 911 radios within a number of the departments. Also, emergency planning amended to increase provincial contributions by $605,075 and reduce consultant fees by $174,000. Also for function 351, fire protection, Massachi Lake, increase provincial contributions by $350,000 and increase capital building by $350,000. You might have noted in the local newspaper that they did receive those grants for improvements in the unit or the fire hall in Massachi Lake. Also to increase in the same 1355 fire protection Malahat be amended, increase provincial conditional by 25, and increase buildings by 25. Also that staff work with Tourism Cowichan in preparing a 5-year municipal and regional tax renewal application at the current 2% level. And that's the one I was speaking of last council meeting, of the hotel tax that is put towards improvements in the tourism sector. Sorry. Also that staff come back with recommendations on the potential of online accommodation platform MRDT revenues to be used for affordable housing. This was one of the avenues that was afforded to those who have the municipal tax renewal going forward, whether it can be used for affordable housing. It was brought forward by the province that that was an option. So staff will come back with those recommendations. Also, that data collection for the upcoming regional recreation facility use analysis be designed to report on Area G Gulf Island users separately from the remainder of Saltaire. budget 520, which is probably one of the largest budgets within the CBRD, is solid waste management. And there was some amendments in that to increase maintenance by 177,000 and increase transfers from capital reserves in the same amount. Also, that a grant application for up to $325,000 be submitted to the Union of BC Municipalities Community Investment Program, Fire Smart Community Funding and Supports. CBRD is a primary applicant that will apply for and receive and manage the grant funding on behalf of all partners. It was mentioned the success of the Fire Smart program in the Lake Cowichan area, and I think that was a template on moving forward with some regional applications. Also, some public hearings and bylaws, looking to amend our procedures bylaw for second and third reading, boundary extensions, and again, more land items that are dealt with by electoral areas. With that, I'll move that report. And that was a short meeting.
Must have been good staff reports. Anyways, thank you very much, Councillor McGonigal. Okay, so we can go to the Community Outreach Team Committee. Councillor Austin.
Thank you. I have 4 pages of notes that were sent to me. There was quite a lot of going on, so I know we're short for time maybe tonight on some things. Jocelyn Lundberg is the new executive director, and she's settling in quite well. Alethea Clark is with Work BC. Apparently they're having lots of people working into that. Carolyn Yablonsky reported on all the different things that are going on at Island Health at our CATSA Health Unit. That's actually busy pretty well every day during the week. And there's new COVID clinics on Wednesday. You have to book in advance. Nurse practitioner Mondays and Fridays. Shiloh Miller, our public health nurse, is doing their youth clinic. We have Well Babies 2 times a week, first and third Tuesday. And the flu clinic is basically now for family and children under 5 and their family members. Other people are asked to go to their doctors or prefer to go to the pharmacy and not plug up the doctors. Alexis Piccolo is a social worker with MCFD, Ministry of Children and Family Development. She was there for the first time and was there, will take information back to them. Janet Simpson Cook did a PowerPoint presentation. She is from the BC Schizophrenia Society. It was very interesting and gave us a lot of information that most of us do not understand about schizophrenia. And it's a wonderful meeting. It's good to know all the things that are going on in our community, and I'm happy to be the liaison for that group.
Thank you, Councillor Austin. There's great stuff going on over there, I know. And it's great that we have that service in our community. So next we can go to our Cowichan, Councillor Sandhu.
Thank you very much. We did not have a meeting in October, but Island Health is inviting all community members to a Zoom live webinar for an update on the Cowichan District Hospital Replacement Project, which is tomorrow night, October 27th at 6 p.m. And to get a link for the Zoom, it's all lowercase. It's newcdh@islandhealth.ca. And I'll see that if we can get that on our Facebook and website tomorrow, just even though the meeting's tomorrow. And our next meeting for our Cowichan is November 4th at 5:30.
Okay, thank you very much. And have a good meeting tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So we can move along to the Cowichan Watershed Board then, Councillor Sandhu.
Thank you. So yesterday we held our meeting and there was a presentation from Mark McCulloch on the steelhead update and BC fishery regulations. And Genevieve and Tim gave a verbal report on Cowichan Tribes and Cowichan Stewardship Roundtable Group on the annual River Day held September 25th, 2021. It was a huge success. Rick Bryan gave a verbal report on the Lake Cowichan Weir modification project from an engineering company, SG1 Recreational Engineering and Planning. And it is a report on support with recreational hydraulic issues and concerns, follow up to recreational memo discussion with CVRD and Stantec that was held in August 2021. Just regarding the recreational whitewater rafting that they want to possibly have added to the project. So there was a report from the engineering firm on that. And our next meeting is November 29th, 2021.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Sandhu. Any questions for Councillor Sandhu? Okay, that's it for reports. So now we can move along to staff reports. And in our agenda, we have a report from the contract planner regarding the development permit, variance permit for 8 and 12 Prospect Avenue lots, 1 and 2, District Lot 12, Cowichan Lake District Plan, EPP 06330. Mr. Fernandez. You're muted, sir.
I've got Mr. Goshy on the line. So if you want to listen to him, put him on. Hi, Neil.
Hey, Joe.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just here to listen in and answer any questions the town has. I think it's important also that everyone realizes that just like the town on the town hall, we've been working with a QEP and right through the process, and even prior to our purchase of the property in August 2019 is when the first QEP report was compiled on the property that was all one prior to subdivision in December 2020. So we've been working hand in hand right through the whole ordeal and project with the riparian zone and built fences and everything like that, trying to follow all rules and guidelines and working closely with the town and our QEP. So, I know there's a lot of things going around out there, some not true and a little mixed up, but here to answer any questions or concerns by all means. So.
Okay, council. So I'm not muted. Good. We have the report in front of us. Anything that you would like to have clarified from either staff or the proponent? Councilor McGonigal.
Very comprehensive report from our contract planner on the process moving forward and the stipulations of conditions being satisfied. The one thing I do have a question on is on page 11 under development permits, number 2A2, removal of illegal piers and floats on the Cowichan River and trailers and structures. Joseph, do you have anything on that?
Yeah, I think that's a condition, if I may, that's the condition of the permit approval. And so I think before construction can even take place, these things have to be removed. And my understanding, Neil could probably answer that.
Yeah, no, not a problem. There's a trailer and there's a lean-to that built to stay out of the rain that I believe that is in reference there that I can remove by all means. Yeah, it's been quite a process of going through everything over years through subdivision and whatnot. And obviously wanted to stay dry up there. It gets a little wet at times. So yeah, that can be removed. There was a previous dock on the property and there was a dock on the property prior to purchase that we can discuss at any point. Obviously there's a lot of docks on the Cowichan Lake and River, new and old. So we just want to make sure there's everyone's treated equally and all the same when it goes through everything. So I know there's been a lot of issues and some stuff that's arisen around the property this summer. And I just want to make sure that everyone in the town is treated equally and no one's being discriminated against. So I think there is a bit of discussion there, but by all means, we're willing to work with the town, and we've been working with the town right through with Joe, like I say, prior to September, October 2019. So the last 2 years. So trying to follow guidelines and be respectful of the town and town rules, and obviously the river be number one. So by all means, we can work through anything that is needed.
Thank you. And therein lies part of the problem with a very unique geographic area of Lake Cowichan surrounded by private forest land. And those private forest landowners own the bottom of the lake and the bottom of the river in most of the areas of our jurisdiction. So docks, being illegal or not, are outside of our purview of regulation. To get approval, one would have to go to the owner or the land owner, occupier for said docks. And there again is a problem with us trying to have them removed without the support of that landowner. First of all, if I can just clarify, you did not place the piers and floats on the property currently, just to be clear.
Oh my God.
There was a log dock there that got some tune up, and it was replaced with some floats there. Just like many of the docks on the river have been replaced over time with rotten logs and unsafe conditions. So there was a log dock there that we've worked on and done proper floats to work on rehabilitating and turning everything around and making it proper.
Great, and pardon me if I've offended anyone at your house, but I need clarification on those questions. I know there was some verbiage in the background, but I'm just making sure that we are making the proper decision for everybody and being as fair as we can with the decision that we move forward. Our decisions are made based on the expert advice that we receive from staff. We don't listen to anecdotal comments, whether it be in social media or any other avenue. With the contract planner and the recommendations that have come forward in almost 2 full pages, it's very onerous for the project that you have put forward. And I'm sure with all the advice of the contract planner that these can be adhered to. And that's the decision that I make, is based on the expert advice of the people that we work with.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there's just some stuff there that was added by the society that, I think Ken got some information there that may not have been too truthful, that I replied to in an email back to the town on September 27th. In regards to it, but still some of that information was posted to the public, and that some of that stuff we talked about. And I don't think any of the local people on the street had been talked about the road being flooded many times, as per locals that have lived there over 70 years on this street in the town. It's only flooded over once. Which I believe was in the mid-60s. And I'm sure most of Cowichan was underwater under that flood at times. So, it was a little, it's been a bit of a struggle of some mixed stories going on and being posted out there. And I've tried to document everything as best as possible to try and give some true facts to what's going on and what's happened there by, staying close with all the neighbors and that have been there for years on that street. So we, by all means, like I say, we've been working due diligently with the town and with the neighbors to make sure everything is done correctly. And, QEP has been involved right through everything that's gone on that piece of property since purchase in September 2019 has been abided through QEP.
I appreciate that. Appreciate the due diligence you've done to this part. Thank you.
Thanks.
So any other members of council have any questions or comments? Councillor Austin?
I just wanted to say as well, I certainly don't listen to Facebook or anything like that. We do follow what our staff has given us. As I say, this was 12 pages, the last two. I went through it several times. It looks fairly decent to me. I'm not an expert. And our staff, we follow what our staff has recommended generally, unless there are other questions of things that we don't quite understand. So far it looks good to me, and I'm happy with what's come up at the present time.
Okay.
I
Nobody else?
really appreciate it, and it's short notice and put some stuff out there on Saturday, but by all means, any of the town, if they're more than welcome to reach out and come meet up with myself and my wife Dana and family and have a look or address any concerns by all means. Like I say, we've been working closely with the town and all the neighbors, and the property was quite overgrown over the years. Half of it was grass right through, and the rest, there was a lot of garden waste and debris that had been dropped there. So we tried to maintain as many bushes and plum trees and whatnot throughout the process. So until we basically sort of figured where a building site would be, we maintained as much as possible and try to clean up a bunch of the rhodos and whatnot that have been buried for years. And there's actually a lot of plant life, natural plant life, and everything that's coming back to life quite well there. And the bears and deer tend to love it there, including the beavers and otters and whatnot. So it's really nice to see.
So thank you very much, Neil. So I just have a couple of comments. I mean, this is a very, very comprehensive and detailed report here from staff, and he's gone. So anyway,
no, he's still here.
I just wanted to say that it's a lot of work to go through to do this, but we also must all sit back and realize that we can't develop along foreshores and waterfronts the way we used to 60, 70 years ago, especially in floodplains and things like that. I mean, it's a lot of hoops to jump through, and I see that a few special instances have had to be applied here through the different ministries, the Minister of for provincial ministries. So good for you for working through these and just being patient. But I just want to acknowledge that we can't compare what you're doing today to stuff that was done 70 years ago. And I would commend you at the end of all this if you meet all these, and I encourage you to follow and work with staff closely along the way, because there's been many developments in the town of Lake Cowichan that have had to have stop work orders because folks have not felt the need to follow through on all the details, especially when working around waterways. So thank you very much for being here tonight and clarifying a couple of things for us and answering a couple of questions.
No, thank you very much. And it's been a pleasure, and hope to be able to build there one day, and we really appreciate it. And it's a great town and really nice people there. So can't say enough good things. So thank you very much for everyone's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, Mr. Fernandez, there's a recommendation on this. It's a rather lengthy one. I don't know if you want to walk us through it quickly or.
Yeah, if I may, I think the best way to handle it is two separate resolutions. The first one should deal with the development permit for lot 1, with the approval subject to the conditions spelled out, the 5 conditions, and the issuance of the development variance permit on page 10, A and B as the requirements. So that's
So
the
what
way to
page
approach
is
it.
the one, what page is the 1 to 5?
Yeah, you will
on?
have to do page 11, the
11.
development permit, do A for lot 1, the approval of a water course and stream side protection development permit, DPA, for lot 1 and those 5 conditions. And then go to page 10 and do the development variance permit for the same lot, doing A and B.
Gotcha. Does the rest of council understand that? I mean, it was hard enough to sit down and read this and follow it all, but
So if
now
you do
you're
that,
jumping us
so
around. Councilor McGonigal, were you putting your hand up for a question?
There was an amendment brought forward. Is that reflected in the final document here from James on the setback?
yeah, it is, it's there.
It's reflected in the final.
it's-
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, okay. I wanted one too.
All right.
I don't need one. I got coffee.
Maybe if the
See you later.
proponent,
Are you gonna eat something after?
if somebody's still on the line, would they mind muting?
Yeah,
Or-
yeah. Gonna eat after.
Or we're all coming for dinner.
So that, is that gonna work?
Okay, so on page 11 then, for all of our goodness here, we got
Regulation.
development permits, and we're doing the one that starts approval of water course and stream side protection development permit for area DPA 1 for the property legally described as Lot 1, District Lot 12, Cowichan Lake District, Plan EPP 06330, and with a street address of 8 Prospect Avenue, subject to the following 5 conditions. So we're looking for a mover and a seconder on that, are we?
Yeah, and plus you wanna add the next page. For the
And then we
development
can go
area.
back to page 10 and recommendation 1 with the stipulations below
A and B.
A and B, group those all together and looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Sandhu, seconded by Councillor McGonigal. Any discussion on those items and the recommendations? Then I will call the question. All those in favor and opposed? I see none. The motion carries. So now we'll go back down to page 11
For B, for lot 2.
and okay, I won't read it all over again, but it is for Lot 2, District, Lot 12, Cowichan Lake District, Plan EPP 06330, and with a street address of 12 Prospect Avenue, subject to the following conditions, going 1 through 5, and back to page 10 again. We will start at C
And D.
and D. Okay, looking for a mover, Councillor Vomaka, seconded by Councillor Austin. Any discussion on that item in its entirety? Then I will call the question. All those in favor and opposed? I see none. The motion is carried. Mr. Fernandez, is there anything else we need to look after in this?
That's it.
Thank you. All right. I have to say that was the most intense development variance permit I've ever seen. So next we can move along to bylaws. We can move along to the Town of Lake Cowichan Council Procedure Bylaw 1062, 2021 may be reconsidered and adopted. Mr. Fernandez?
Your worship, with the expiration of Ministerial Order M192, all virtual meetings have basically come to an end unless council can amend, and it's been given authority, councils have been given authority to amend the procedure bylaw allowing for continued Zoom virtual meetings as long as advance notice is given. And so this bylaw reflects the ability of council to conduct virtual meetings as it sees fit. And as of now, those meetings will be conducted until December 31st of this year virtually. So that's the intent of this bylaw.
All right, and I believe Councillor Sandhu was going to move that one, were you? Okay, moved by Councillor Sandhu, seconded by Councillor Austin. Is there any discussion? Councillor McGonigal?
This is a follow amendment from one we made earlier to accommodate virtual meetings of people that may have been outside of the community working or at other opportunities throughout the course of their time on council. At that time, as we're here tonight with 3 people, it was deemed that only 2 could attend virtually, either by phone or by FaceTime or any other avenue that electronically they were capable of. I did utilize that while I was working remotely in parts of Northern Vancouver Island, and attended virtually during that time. So this is an opportunity for us to move forward with the total virtual and continue the streaming of these meetings through YouTube. So those in the public who do choose to watch at the time of the meeting or later on have that opportunity. So to move forward with continuation of these virtual meetings with that avenue for further viewing at a later date, I think is a great option.
All right, thank you for that comment. Anybody else? Councillor Austin.
Thank you. I think Councillor McGonigal said it all, but I'm wondering, after December 31st, we will still do virtuals if we advertise in advance. Is that correct?
As long as you give advance notice. It doesn't have
Yes,
to be-
that's what I mean. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, nobody else? Then I'll call the question on the Town of Lake Cowichan Council Procedure Bylaw 1062 2021 for adoption, reconsider an adoption. All those in favor? And opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We have no new business. So that takes us to a mayor's report. A little bit of a different format this time. So I'll just give you the Coles Notes version of what I've been up to this month outside of meetings. On October 12th, I attended virtually the Wood Industry Forum that was being held in the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District. And during that forum, there was many First Nations and tenure and partnership stories that were told there. And there was some great success stories about various startups. One of them, I think I have the name wrong, but it's the Land Group in Port Alberni. And they're a startup mill that buys logs, and they have plans to go right up to finishing moldings with and painting and priming the moldings as well in the next few years. They want to go be a full one-stop shop for all the needs of the lumber industry or the wood industry and you know everything Home Depot sells they want to make when it comes to wood. I guess the easiest way to say it. Kilns and paint shops and everything. On October 13th, I was on the monthly regional call with Minister of Municipal Affairs, Josie Osborne, and her guest this month with the UBCM President, Lori Ann Rudenberg. There was one item on the agenda, which seldom is there an agenda, but we were asked to present, each of us on the regional call, and that's largely just Mayors from the Island and Sunshine Coast. We were asked to present one key issue. So an issue meaning it meant for a lot of people, it was a challenge, it was a bad thing, something that started off bad and we needed a solution. Well, in our case, it started off as a good thing with the increased development. The item that I brought forward, and especially when it comes to the provincial government, and the UBCM president was there, our wastewater treatment plant and the funding opportunities for that. We're at the point now where that we need to get that finished and totally updated. So that was the issue brought up. I brought that forward as an issue because of our success in our community, that we had a lot of development, and that's a good sign that people want to live here and pay into our tax base. So that was the one item that I brought up, and that was also brought up by many other communities. And the other big issue that was brought up by other mayors was, especially in the larger centers, was mental health and addictions and homelessness in their communities. So they brought that up, and we're looking for solutions there. On October 19th, 20th, and 21st, I attended the FCM. Thank you for allowing me to attend Sustainable Communities Conference. And I didn't know I was registering for this, but staff at the office registered me for one introductory sessions on community-based social marketing. I'll explain that quickly in a minute, but it was a 6-hour workshop, and I actually got a certificate, and it's the first time I've ever got a certificate, I think, since grade 7 from courses I've attended. So I'm going to have that framed and put on the wall somewhere. And so community social-based marketing, and the presentation was largely, well, it was done by a psychologist, and it wasn't anything to do with social media or anything. It was about when you have an issue, say you want to convert residents from paper bag or plastic bags to paper bags, or bottled water bottles, or you want to try and entice everybody to change over their shower heads to high efficiency shower heads. It was, how do you do that successfully? And you could say, well, give everybody one. Well, that's not quite so simple, because this professor and his group broke everything down, found out who were the 30 most likely people to do this, because they all showed an interest in their water conservation, gave them all a high efficiency water shower head, and after a month, they called them all back, and only 2 people installed it. So they taught us how to engage folks and how to get the most likelihood of success. So, and it wasn't always just give them the shower head. And, when we talked about water in one of the breakout rooms, how do you stop people from using bottled water? Well, the first solution was give them a water container. But in order to do that, they have to have confidence in the local water system. And I know all of us do, because we understand how our water is treated. But you know what? We've just come through about 3 to 5 years of boil water things. I know a lot of people that don't have a lot of trust in their water coming out of the taps. So they buy water bottles. And so we'd have to go into an education program and there's a glass of water going right there. So we'd have to teach people that our water is safe. So there's a lot more to it than just saying do it. And we might think about that when we talk about solid waste and converting people more to composting, so they can get by with the 2 garbage cans we give them in the biweekly pickups. So it was 6 hours of that. It was dry at times, but I found myself very intrigued by it, and it'll be helpful in a lot of situations. As well as that, we heard lots of other success stories from people with green initiatives across the country, and one of the most engaging presentations was from a doctor from Singapore. And Singapore has a policy that any development Thank you, everybody. I had to move from to another device because my battery died. So I think I was in the middle of explaining in Singapore that every development has to be built so that it's within a 10-minute walk of a green space or a park, or 400 meters or less. So they really work hard at doing that, and that's easy to say, but if you stop and think about it, it's not so easy to do in cities. So in Singapore is a very highly developed town, and so they really work hard at that, and it looks beautiful. And it likens it to our entrance to town. There is greenery everywhere, and there's greenery all around us. But I often walk through some communities where the trees overshadow the roadway, like, for instance, the entrance to Masachi Lake. It's always beautiful to drive underneath that canopy of trees as you drive into town. And you can think of other places like Oak Bay, where the oak trees hang over all the streets. And it's very warm and inviting and people friendly when you get into those. And Singapore has done that. And I think people would enjoy that if we wanted to consider more tree planting. On October 22nd, I attended an emergency Cowichan Leadership Group meeting, and that was to see a presentation from the Housing First for Youth team. There's a dire need in the core to have a place for youth to go where they're having adults stay is not the appropriate place for youth that suffer from mental health and addiction. So they're looking for perhaps a group home or a separate setting from where they're otherwise housing the homeless. And some of these folks, these youth, are not homeless. They just need a safe place to be to manage their addiction properly and have a friendly and perhaps a role model in that place to help them get through the day and the night. So some of these young people are overdosing 3 times a day. And so they're in need of some help there. So there's a follow-up to that on November 2nd. They're hoping that somebody can come up with a location in the core. There is some funding available. So that group, the Housing First for Youth, wants to try and find a way to solve that issue or at least help that issue in a small way. On October 25th, which was yesterday morning from 9 to 9:30, I was invited to read in Mrs. Weir's class at the Lake Cowichan School. So I read a chapter out of the book, The Hatchet, to a group of about 15, 16 youth in that class. And that was fun. I told them, please reach out more often to any of us, actually, if there's an opportunity to do that again. On October 27th and 28th, myself and other members of council will be attending the virtual Vancouver Island Economics Summit. And that's where I hope to learn some of the best of what is going on in the economics of Vancouver Island. It's always been a great conference in the past, and I look forward to getting re-engaged. I was hoping to attend in person, as I think some of us were, but they've had to go virtual again because of the COVID numbers. And as mentioned earlier, or no, not mentioned earlier, but on October 27th, Island Health has invited the mayors and regional district chairs to a COVID-19 update, and I'll definitely reach out to members of council and staff and let them know what happened there, and there'll probably be a follow-up letter. And as Councillor Sandhu mentioned earlier, the Cowichan District Hospital virtual info session, I'll be attending that tomorrow night. And October 28th, I was invited by our MP, Alistair McGregor, to meet with him for an hour. And the topic that he wants to hear about is housing. So with the recommendation of council on that, I've invited along Councillor Austin to attend that meeting with me. And I've asked the CAO to have the contract planner attend and give just a brief rundown before the conversation starts about our housing needs analysis and the amendments that he made to that, so that our MP is aware of our situation. That's one of the issues that Minister of Parliament or Member of Parliament McGregor wants to take back when the Parliament starts to sit again. And also on October 28th, as I mentioned earlier, the Cowichan Lake Recreation has a meeting. And a special note here at the end is the Small Business Week ended last week. And I also wanted to acknowledge, and I think on behalf of council as well, that a few of the winners of the awards. The Lake Cowichan Food Bank was awarded the Nicole Stock Community Service Award. OK Tire and Auto Service was given the Lifetime Achievement Award. Country Grocer was awarded the Above and Beyond Award. Ed's Coffee House was given the Customer Service Award. The Farm Table Inn, where the festivities were held on Sunday evening, was given the Business of the Year. And Elijah and Stella Feltrin were given the Youth of the Year awards. And I wish to congratulate all of them on their achievements. They're well-deserved. And I'd also just take a moment to acknowledge all small business and all home-based businesses in and around Lake Cowichan for all the hard work they put in staying in business in a small community like this. It's often a thankless job and many hours to keep your business afloat, especially during the winter season. I know most rely on the busy summer season to help them get through the winter. And I know it's a lot of work for all of you and a lot of dedication to your community, and you all want to be here, otherwise you wouldn't be here. I'm looking forward next month to our tourism stakeholder 2021 recap meeting. The tentative date set for that is November 15th. Please have a look and wait for the invite. I know most of council and all of council and some of staff will be invited. And I'm also looking forward to having our first in a long time, our emergency planning meeting. And that date is late November, and that will be announced in the next couple of weeks. So for October, that is my mayor's report, and thank you very much. And I don't know what to do now. My battery's
Stay
dead.
there.
Councillor Austin has lent me her machine, and we can finish our meeting. So next up on the agenda is question period,
Yeah.
or notices of motion.
Question period. Oh, no.
Notices of motion, and there was none introduced at the beginning of the meeting, so we can move right on to question period. And that we'll pause for 3 minutes. Anybody that wants to call in a question or email to 250-749-6681. And the email address is general@lakecowichan.ca. Once again, the phone number is the quickest way to get through is 250-749-6681. We will pause for 3 minutes, and we'll see you all back at 7:08. Thank you.
Oh, what else? Because I'll have to ask Marge to change. I gotta go sign that. Do you know where the coastal credit union is in Duncan? Is it the one over by Trippies? I think it is. Wow.
Okay, so here we are. It's 7:09. Mr. Fernandez, anybody calling in?
Nobody phoned in, but I've got 2 emails.
Okay, let
I'll
us
read
have them,
out.
please.
I'll read them out to you. The first one is from Rosemary Danaher. Reads, as I'm not able to ask questions tonight, read the prospect developments. Would you be so kind as to ask them at tonight's meeting, please? Has the provincial government given RAPR approval for these 2 building sites? Page 11, who will enforce the sediment and erosion control plan on these 2 lots? Page 11. The local grapevine says the trucks came in during the night and put rocks into the river. If this information is correct, who would have given permission for rocks to be put into the river? So that's the first one from Rosemary Dana.
And I would probably assume staff is best to answer that question.
Correct.
We don't know about the rocks in the river in the middle of the night, but I'm sure we make note of that.
So if you leave it to staff, we would respond to it.
Okay, thank you.
The second one is from Brent Clancy. Has mayor and council discussed turning the riverfront property at the child Mildred property? I think it should read the Mildred child property. And the adjacent Caspi Park into a functional park for the community rather than a riverfront parking lot.
And once again, we have had conversations about what's going to happen there. I don't know if any councilors actually know the plan or have seen a plan, but is staff prepared to comment on that?
Yeah, on the Kasapi Park, we could. It's going to be a park, not a parking lot. It's we've got plans for that. And it's just that we haven't been able to put them into motion yet because of funding. And on the other one, I'm not sure how to answer the other one.
Councilor McGonigal.
And just to follow up on the Kasapi Park, when that was gifted to the town, it was under the proviso that if the building did come down, that it would revert to a park. It is currently being utilized as overflow parking in the interim, but there is a plan, and I'm sure Mr. Sandhu, our Public Works Superintendent, would be happy to fill us in with some of the details. Currently, there has been some signage put up and a small planting around the signage, but I'm sure Mr. Sandhu could follow up with a little bit of the plan.
Thank you. Mr. Sandhu, do you have any comments to add to the response? Or you want to email them back to the...
I can quickly respond. Yeah, what Mr. McGonigal said, yes, that is correct. That is going to be a park, and we've started working on it. Unfortunately, we just haven't had much time to get too much work done this year. We had one of our staff members draw up a plan, and we will be proceeding again next year. There is going to be a few parking spots there, people coming to enjoy the park that they can park in there. But other than that, it'll be all planted in different plants and trees in there, probably a couple of picnic tables.
Okay, thank you. And Councilor McGonigal.
Just to follow up, and there's been continuous discussion on a riverfront walkway connecting in behind the town hall up to Kasapi Park. The only problem there is, of course, the TELUS property and the proximity to the riverbank on that side. But I'm sure that will be somehow incorporated following the improvements at the town hall at some level. The connectivity along the whole river is problematic with private ownership, but at least that portion, I believe, will be accommodated in the Kasapi Park and the town hall revamp.
And the TELUS building.
Yes. All right, so thank you. That's great information, and I'm sure staff will pass that along to the questioners. Anything else, Mr. Fernandez?
No, that's it.
That's it. All right. Finally, some good questions. That's great. So next we can move along to the next item on the agenda, and that's the in-camera. And Mr. Fernandez, can you explain the reasons for going in camera tonight?
Yes, indeed. Section 92 of the community charter requires that before a meeting or part of a meeting is closed to the public, council must state by resolution why the meeting is being closed. And the basis on which the meeting is to be closed falls under the following sections of the community charter. Section 91C, dealing with labor relations or other employee relations. And Section 91E on the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements.
All right. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to go in camera, moved by Councilor McGonigal, seconded by Councilor Bromaka. And any discussion there? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. So we're now moving